Okay, I've made some tests that I need to upload into Blackboard for my students. It's actually their final exam, and I made a different test for every student. So what I have to do is create a new test, and I'm going to call it Final 0. Actually 2 zeros, and I'm going to scroll down, and I've got to create it, so I'm going to submit. Alright, now it pops up and says it has no questions. I can upload questions, so I'm going to upload questions. I don't have my zip disk in yet. Let's see if I can get it there. There we go. And I'm going to go to my PLC folder. I did a finals folder, and there's test 0 right there. Has to be in a specific format, and it has to be a text file. So I'm going to click that one to say OK, and I'll show you what that format has to look like. I happen to know there's 25 questions in there. The default's 10, so I have to change this to 4. And I have to submit. And it's done, and here's all my questions that have come in. So everything looks good. I'll go back and look at that in a minute. So I'm just going to click OK. And so now I have that. Well, if I've got 11 students and I got to give them 11 different tests, I have to do this again. So this will be Final 01. Scroll down. Oh, just submit that, but you could hit the enter key, I suppose. Upload questions, browse, and there's test 1. Open, change it to 4, and submit. Okay, this is just gets the test in there for the student. You have to go in and select the user for each student, and I've got to repeat this 9 more times. And then I've got to go in and set the test up, and then I've got to take a different student in the class and send them to a specific final, one of the 11. And then I've got to take the existing final column I have in the grade book, which I don't want to show you because it's got students' names, and I have to sum up all the tests. They're only going to take one, so they'll get that grade. All the others will be a 0, and I can just put that all in one column and calculate their final grade. But it is a little tedious working with Blackboard. One thing I want to show you as far as my files go is if I click on my 128 folder, which you can't see, and I got my assignments here, and what I typically do when I teach, and you can't see them all, is I have 28 assignments that I've got on disk. So just like uploading the test, I got to upload 28 different assignments for every class. So, and Blackboard only lets you do them one at a time. So anyway, there should be some shortcuts, and every time there's Blackboard training, I'm thinking, hey, we're going to get to see some good shortcuts on how to do these multiple, because it would be good if Blackboard would just let you upload one assignment, because I'm going to make them all the same. Most of these, well, 26 of these are worth the same points. 2 of them are worth more. And then that becomes the basis of my students' grades. But anyway, oh, let's do another one. Yeah, let's do another one. Because I only got 11 to do, right? So this will be final. See, and then you get into this thing where you lose your track of what you've done. Upload questions. Browse. There's 2. And then, oops, opens at the top where you can't see it. And make the test worth 4. If you don't make it worth 4 here, they're all going to show up as 10 points, and you got to go back and change them one at a time when you upload questions. So it's best to, when you're uploading questions, know how many you got, know what they're going to be worth, and do it here, because then you see that you get it. And I'll scroll down. So I do short answer tests. I basically want the student to type in the answer. And what I've done in order to notice students tend to want to copy each other. So these numbers that you see in here are all going to be different on each test. So if I get 2 people who give me the same answers, I'll know who shared and who copied. Now we'll have it exactly right. And then I've got some generic questions down here that are all the same for everybody. But it's a pretty good test. Total questions 100 points. That's great. And then I got to go all the way to the bottom, click OK, to go back to do the next one. And so I'm going to add these tests later, in which case I have to go in and do how I'm going to do it. Well, let's click on that. Oh, first thing, let me show you the format that the test has to be in to upload it. If I get to the right place. And final question pool. There we go. I should be able to move this down. There we go. This is a test I've given in the past. I've obviously gone through and changed it. So if somebody sees this, it's not going to be worth anything more to them than a review. But SR is how Blackboard does short response, and then you use a space, a tab space, and then your question, and then it uploads if it's in this format. Now it has to be a .txt file. And one other thing that will help you out if you do this is if I go to the last line, you see my cursor there right after the etc., and I arrow over, it does not go down. So in other words, when you get to that last line, if you are in the habit of hitting carriage return, see now I'm over here, make sure you check that so that your file ends at the end of the last line. Otherwise Blackboard may not upload it properly. But I've used this a lot. It works pretty well. So I want to show you that aspect. I'm actually creating the different versions of tests by having a script file run, and anywhere it sees a number it puts in a random number within certain parameters. And so that way I've got that's how I get my 11 different tests. So they essentially are the same questions, but the numbers are different for the most part. I'm gonna close this. I did make a change and then I changed it back. If I go back to Blackboard, now what if I want to add a test? After I add the 11, this is what I have to go through. So I'm going to add an existing test, submit, And I usually don't put anything in this box. I have to make the test available. I'm not going to allow multiple attempts. I'm going to force completion. And I'll have to come back in and change this once I'm not recording. I like to set the timer and give them 120 minutes, which is 2 hours, and then tell them that it will submit. So once they start the test, it will happen. I'm going to go in and add a user or a group. I'm going to add a user for each specific test, a different student for each test, and then my due date. I think I will uncheck that. Hide results for this test from the instructor in the grade center. I don't want to do that. And then how are you going to present the questions to the student? I do like the all at once, and I do like them randomized, so they can go backwards and forwards, but they will be in a little different order. So it's mostly good. And then I'm going to make this test shoot, I lost the name of it. Oh, I'm going to adaptive release this test. So they have to have a grade on their last worksheet before this test shows up. So I've got to do all that. So this is, and I'll have to go back in and change some of this stuff. But what you see is it all shows up. I can do the adaptive release here. I'll have to edit the test options, assign a user. I don't have to edit the test anymore. I have to go in and do the adaptive release, and I have to do this for 11 different students. And if I showed you the grade book, you'd see student names, and I don't want to do that. So anyway, just a little bit of what instructors have to go through. I wish Blackboard had an easier way to do this, set up a test, particularly if you're going to use the same parameters, or if there was a way instructors could go in and set a default. Because I'm a creature of habit, instead I want to set things up a certain way, and I'm probably going to leave them that way. Otherwise, you got to go to all these different pages, and you got to make 3 mouse clicks or whatever. It's very mouse based, which is really too bad because it slows you down. Anyway, thought I'd share, but it's not too bad. So get all my tests in there, and then I'll add them and then do them to a student. So I'll go ahead and create the third one while you're watching. FINAL03. So I'm going to type out that. Submit. Can just hit enter. Oh, now this screen again. Upload questions. 4. Browse. And final 3. I think that's right. Is that where I'm at? Hope it is. Yeah, final 03, final 3. So I can sort of see it. Click submit. You should make sure all your questions are here, that everything looks alright. You gotta scroll to the bottom anyway, click OK. And then another one. I'm just going to hit the enter key this time because that should submit it anyway, and I didn't do anything else. I do have to mouse click to upload questions. I guess I could tab over. And I'm up to Final 4. Got to click open on that and then submit. And sometimes Blackboard takes a minute. Sometimes it's just about instant. So I uploaded all those questions in a hurry. Total points, 25 questions. Make sure everything's right. Click OK. Alright, I'm going to end the video here because I think I've shared everything I want to share. And very nice. Thank you for watching.